This is the second time I've had to reclaim my property from you.
That belongs in a museum.
So do you.
What a sad, cold husk of a logo, once belonging to a great studio. Remember when Disney was a well-respected company? The company that brought you Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, Tarzan, Lion King. This company produced nothing but top-notch quality for decades, bringing fun and interesting stories to audiences of all ages. At their peak, one could easily think that they could do no wrong. It's exactly what I thought when they bought Lucasfilm, the studio that brought you Star Wars, Willow, and of course, Indiana Jones. I figured this is a long-standing, well-established company that produces pretty high-quality content. Sure, they might make Star Wars and Indy a bit more kid-friendly, but as long as it's well-made and well-written, I'm sure it'll be a massive success. Boy howdy was I fucking wrong. We end up having setback after setback, loss after loss. What was made to be a quick and decisive victory became a decade of hell. After soulless live-action remakes, to revamping old buried franchises long gone, to the desecration of the golden goose of Star Wars, Disney and Lucasfilm had one last IP. Indiana Jones. Needless to say, I was not thrilled. Indiana Jones was one of my favorite trilogies to watch as a kid. I used to constantly play and dress up like him. Hell, I even made my first short film playing Indy when I was 6. So when I heard that Harrison Ford was reprising his role at what age? Harrison Ford age 80? He's still doing this shit at 80 years old? Jesus Christ, man, put the hat down. He was so quick to kill Han Solo, but he's gonna take Indiana to his damn grave. If you're gonna refresh the franchise, do it with a younger face, like Chris Pratt, for instance. He did fantastic in the Guardians movies, and he could do more serious roles like in Terminal List. It's that blend of comedy and seriousness is hard to pull off, but I figure he'd be the right guy for the job. But no, let's bring back geriatric Harrison Ford. I mean, who knows? Maybe with some good writing, it would be a good curtain call to the legend that he started all those years ago.
Yeah, like that's ever gonna happen.
So the story begins with young Indy at World War II, looking for a religious artifact and getting into fights with Nazis in classic Indy fashion. The difference is, when he's captured, he is saved by a American bomb that drops into the building, doesn't blow up, at least until it breaks through the floor, reaches the bottom of the building, where it then blows up everybody else, except for Indy. I don't know about you, but in my opinion, that's kind of a cheap knockout to get out of a bad situation. He then steals a car from somebody by beating them out of the car, and then is joined in by a bunch of Nazis, so he has to try and play it low, which I think is funny because nobody noticed the guy laying down on the ground that he just knocked out to get into the car. He then chases a train where he realizes that the artifact is a fake and ends up taking a different one instead, being Archimedes' dial. And the whole fight on the train is full of weird situations and huge contrivances that honestly make it feel cheap. Because with the Indiana we all know, any situations he got into, he could usually get himself out of, or got out of through his actions, which is opposite of what they were trying to do from the set. They're trying to show you, oh, this is Indiana's prime, but it just doesn't feel that way. It feels like one mistake or one stupid event after another, and it just didn't work. So then we cut to present day, and how is our awesome protagonist? He's a grumpy old man who lost his deanmanship at the university and is now a professor at some crappy academy. He's getting a divorce with Marion, and not to mention that his son Mutt died in Vietnam to boot. So, not doing great. Great job, guys. Way to make our hero appear larger than life, even in his elder age. He continues to be this way throughout the movie, meeting his goddaughter, starring Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who is a strong, independent woman who can do everything that Indy can do and doesn't have any flaws. Gee, I wonder where I've heard that plot from before. Believe me, it gets worse from here. Oh boy. Y'all are in for a treat with this plot, let me tell you. The rest of the movie is them trying to stop this villain that we saw in the young Indy prologue. Which, by the way, is funny because he should be dead. He gets basically clotheslined in the face by a metal beam and then falls off the train. The man should be dead. And so they basically need to stop him from putting together Archimedes' dial. The villain wants to get Archimedes' dial to go back to World War II to kill Hitler, presumably take his role as Fuhrer. Indy obviously has to stop him because that'll cause crazy problems in time and could change the course of history entirely. Great job, guys. Indy 5. save Hitler. So they end up and here's the best part. They end up going through the fissure in time, right? And they're flying through and they're like, "Oh, yes, we did it. We went back to 1938." Only they didn't. So it is now 1:18 in the morning as I'm recording this because I had mispronounced what battle had taken place. So they went back to around 214 BC during the Battle of Syracuse. Because that makes sense. But anyway, we'll continue to wrap up this video. So hopefully I'll finish before 2 in the morning. But yeah, so just want to point that out. This movie is so stupid, man. It's so dumb. World War II planes during a Roman and Greek battle. I shit you not. And they fly at this low altitude. They see the war going on. And instead of going higher, flying up, as you can do with a plane. And so what did the Germans do? Instead of trying to change course or get out of the fight somehow, they open the door of the plane and they start shooting at the Romans with their pistols. What are you doing? What is this plot? This is so ridiculous. What is this last act? What is this? Needless to say, the German ship gets shot down, which is great for the Greeks because now they can reverse engineer all of their guns and plane technology and alter the course of history that way. But no, they ignore that completely. Instead, they just give, on Archimedes' grave, they just put propellers on a phoenix. Because that makes fucking sense. I mean, I know it was 200 BC, but I don't think we were that stupid. Indy ends up escaping out of the plane, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge is like, "We have to bring you back home." And he's like, "No, just let me bleed out here." She's like, "No, we need you. You have to go back." And he goes, "Go back to who?" And I'm like, wow. Way to, like, this is just sad. This is just a sad character. You know, you're not even trying to make him feel important. He has to defend himself for being in his own movie, and it blows my mind. There's literally a scene where Indy looks at Phoebe and he's like, "Oh, no, you didn't, think about this thing. You still need me." And it's like, wow. Indiana Jones has to prove that he's needed to whoever the fuck this bitch is. And he's like, "No, just let me die because I have no one to go back home to. My life was awful. I was just a sad, decrepit man. Let me die here where I'm still at least valuable." And I'm like, what a depressing story for one of my favorite heroes growing up. Wow. You could not make this worse. And she ends up, of course, knocking him out, dragging him back into the present time, and they just shoehorn in Marion at the last minute, and it's like, oh yeah, he still can live with her because they weren't just totally getting a divorce 5 seconds ago. In the end, we have just a sad and lonely legacy hero, his female partner who is basically Indy 2.0, and a mess of a plot that's been padded for time, and the utter destruction of yet another legendary franchise. This should have been a layup. Why is Disney so content with destroying its cash cows? I just don't get it. So, when I recommend this movie, maybe for the fight with the Germans and the Romans because of how stupid it was. If you want to see Germans shooting ancient Romans, that was funny. But not in a, wow, what an awesome setup for a fight sort of thing. It was like, wow, holy shit. I didn't know it could get this bad. This is like B-movie levels. Honestly, I think Kathleen Kennedy just wants to do Scorched Earth on Lucasfilm. And it really shows in this movie. I hope they never make another Indiana Jones movie. In my opinion, he rode off in the sunset at the end of Last Crusade, and that was it. I want to give it a good 2 out of 10, because it utterly destroys Indy as a character, makes him a geriatric, depressed old man. Unjustifiably, mind you. And it doesn't prove that it needs to exist. It literally does nothing to Indy's character. It has no story that makes any lick of sense. It's just an awful movie. I don't know how else to put it. But I would recommend watching The Last Crusade or maybe Raiders of the Lost Ark. Temple of Doom. Anything besides this movie. It was pretty bad. But either way, thank y'all guys so much for watching. I'll catch y'all guys later. Bye! What a shit film.